it's fucked up. That's why I say, hey, I'm a target. If I ever get married, I have to go off to the woods of Africa and find me some crazy, naked zebra bitch that knows nothing about money. She got to be butt naked on a zebra with a big bone in her nose and a big plate lip and a big fucked up afro. An afro got to, like Angela Davis see it and go, God damn, that's fucked up shit. Afro got to be fucked up and one of them picks with a fist in the back and she got to be butt naked because if she got some clothes she going to pocket, she going to have to put something in the pocket. So she got to be butt naked on the zebra and y'all think it's a joke. Y'all going to go, I'm going to walk up to her and say, hey, how you doing? Money? And she go, I say, Miss Murphy. And I'm bring her home. Y'all think it's a joke. Y'all gonna go past a newsstand one day and see me on the cover of Jet with some woman with a big bone and a plate and a big fucked up afro, butt naked. And y'all gonna say, hey, Eddie must be visiting Africa. I'll say, Murphy marries Bush bitch. I'm gonna be like, what? Because I ain't getting caught. I refuse to get caught out there. Fuck that. And I'm bring her home and lock her up in the house. You go off to Africa and get you a bush woman, you can't let her mingle with American women because they'll change her shit up. American women stick together. Last thing they want to see is you got some trained bush bitch in your house. They will catch her by herself in the kitchen and throw a monkey wrench in your whole program. As soon as they get alone, they'll be like, I can't stand it. You be running behind him doing everything he tell you to do. Who you think he is? You ain't no God. You a human being. You ain't supposed to treat nobody. This house is too big for one person to be cleaned up. Why don't you leave? You always crying. Why don't you just leave the nigga? Oh, you know something, girl. Do you know you can take half his money? Did you know you can take half his money? Did you know that? Did you know you entitled? He didn't tell you entitled to half? Oh, he only told you half the story then, girl. You can take half the money, the car, the house, the children, all the money he got. You can buy all the zebras and bones you want. Go back home in style, girl. You don't have to put up with this shit and get your hair done right. Cut that big afro shit off and go back home to Africa in style. Who the hell do you think he is? Let me tell you something else about Eddie Murphy. That motherfucker ain't nothing but a butt. Oh, hi, Eddie. How you doing? Oh, I didn't know you was here. You scared me. Ooh, I don't know. I can't stay. I was just talking to Fufu about a couple of things, No. I got to go. You two, y'all two lovebirds talk. Eddie, talk to your woman. Talk to Fufu. You got a lot to talk about. Go on, Eddie, please. Talk to Fufu. And leave me in the kitchen with some bush bitch with an attitude. Eddie, I want to talk to you. What's your problem, baby? I don't like the way you treat me, Eddie. You treat me like animal. You was butt naked on a zebra last month. I don't care, Eddie. I'm an American woman now. I want what's coming to me. Eddie, what have you done for me lately? I want you to be happy with what you want. Half! Give me half, Eddie! Give me half, Mr. Fuck You Man! Suck my dick, Eddie! You motherfucker! Then I'd be on the front page of the African Inquirer like this.
If your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too, I wanna talk to you. Friends talking nerdy.
All right, what's your next one?
Staying in 84, I'm going to go to Sergio Leone's last movie, Once Upon a Time in America.
Oh.
Yeah, that film, that's for Leone fans like myself, it's really, it's great to see masters like that be able to tell stories. If folks don't know, it's a 3-parter based on these kids that grew up on the Lower East Side as they grew older. You got Robert De Niro, James Woods, Joe Pesci's in it who's in it, which is kind of surprising how many films he's been in with De Niro, but this one. So yeah, you had De Niro. I said, William Forsythe is in this movie as well. Danny Aiello. A young Jennifer Connelly is in this film. She plays in the early in the scene. She plays. She's a young actress. Or in the flashback sequence, she's in this movie. Elizabeth Montgomery. Elizabeth McGovern is in this movie. Tuesday Weld's in this film. It's just one of these weird. I won't say weird. It's just like with Leone. His films, it takes the time. They're long. You got to sit in with it. And Once Upon a Time in America, it just kind of starts that way. So you start in one era, go backwards and forwards. But as the story kind of keeps going, you're vested into it towards the end. And this how with De Niro and James Woods and these other characters. Grew up together as kids and now are running this bootlegging scheme, situation in New York, and how things all come together in the end of their breakup and vengeance. It's phenomenal, man. Really incredible filmmaking. It's still one of my favorite films.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have other films of his that I like better, but he is. It's a point to that you mentioned, slow. I think more filmmakers need to take cues from that. Someone like Michael Bay wants to throw everything at you right away, whereas, the opening scene of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly starts out really slow, but then once Tuco shoots everybody and jumps out the window, action kicks in. Once upon a Time in the West, I believe the first 10 minutes of the movie, there's no dialogue and it's just some guys waiting for a train. But once the action kicks in, you're invested in it. And I think more filmmakers need to take lessons on slowing things down a little bit.
I think you just have to trust the audience. And a lot of times you don't want to do that. If you set up the story the way it is, trust the audience. And I think with Bay, it's that very quick editing that does play in sometimes, but really good films, it's the story. You're really sitting down and being invested in the story. So you have to just really go with it. And for directors like Leone, it is for that, because the payoff's going to be, you're so wrapped in the interest of the characters, it becomes part of your life. In the mind, when you're in that theater watching it, it just becomes you. You're just like, all right, I invested time in this. Oh my God, this can't happen. And it's a crapshoot as well. But for good filmmakers like that, it goes that way. It does. It's good stuff, man. Really good stuff.
Yep. All right, the next one on my list, a classic from 1985, and we did touch upon it briefly before, but it's Back to the Future.
Yeah, that changed everything. That film came out. It set everything up. And what I mean by that is that when I first saw it, the way Zemeckis put it together, it's a film that you can watch again and again. And you'll notice more things about it, about what decisions Marty make, because it sets up for the next three movies the big, the big adventure when it comes together. Like the fact that when Marty goes back and he interferes and it sets everything up in motion for that to happen. It's a really, it's a great film, man. It's a great popcorn movie.
It is. I mean, and just tightly written. One of the best scripts I've ever had a chance to read myself. And just the acting on the actors, just a perfect movie. And the sequels end up giving you a much deeper appreciation for the original movie. How in Back to the Future 2, they were able to kind of mix and match new scenes with scenes from the original movie, which ended up causing a real-life lawsuit because they used some Crispin Glover footage in Back to the Future 2, and he ended up suing because of that. But you don't see, especially even in time travel movies, I mean, like a TV show like Doctor Who, a time travel TV show, a great show, they've, to my knowledge, only one time that I can think of in the first season of the relaunch of the show had a scene to where they went back and re-explored something that happened at a previous time. And just one of the best films of the 80s period.
Yeah, it really is. It's still, I watch it so many times, it still moves. Christopher Lloyd is great.
Morty.
Tom C. Wilson as Biff. I mean, really good film.
Yep. All right, what you got next?
Next, since we're going to 85, I'm going to get a little more kind of like a mysterious film, The Falcon and the Snowman by John Schlesinger. Timothy Hutton and my man Sean Penn, based on a true story of these two friends who went to mystery school together, take separate turns. One becomes a CIA analyst, or I guess like a code reader, and the other character becomes this notorious drug dealer. Mm-hmm. And as friends they come together and just start selling secrets. A really good film. I love the film in terms of just I'm a big fan of Sean Penn and I'm a big fan of Schlesinger, but I'm a big fan of this movie because of the score by the Pat Metheny Group. Really incredible score. Moves really nicely. David Suchet's in it. He plays a Russian spy handler. I first saw this film like on TCM a couple. When I was in Los Angeles. But then I went to my school and I actually saw the movie. We went to the library and I was blown away by it. Incredible performances, really great. For me, it's about big things that really do it for me. Besides the acting and the directing, but if the music in the film makes it move and the score, it gets me down. It just gets me moving. Really sets the film up. Falcon and the Snowman is a really good film to have and watch.
And a good bit of trivia from that movie, the character that Sean Penn plays, as you said, is based on a real person. And Sean Penn actually ended up hiring that person as his personal assistant. Now, I don't know if he's still in that role, but at one time, the character he played, the real person, was his personal assistant in Hollywood.
Yeah, small world in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right. What's next up for you?
All right, my next one, it was a bomb in movie theaters, but it was from 1985. It's a Walter Murch movie from Disney, a rather dark movie called Return to Oz. And by that reaction, it sounds like you haven't heard of it.
I am just like, nope. So, Return to Oz, huh?
Yeah, it's believe it or not, it is quite faithful because L. Frank Baum, who wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, wrote a whole series of books, and it really is quite faithful to those further adventures. Dorothy is played by an actress by the name of, I hope I pronounce her name correctly, Fairuza Balk. She was Adam Sandler's love interest in The Waterboy. If you saw the movie American History X, the woman that Ed Norton is having sex with at the beginning of the film, that's her. I think she was also in The Craft. But she plays Dorothy Gale, and Dorothy is recounting to her friends and family in Kansas everything that happened in Oz, and they don't believe her, try to put her into an insane asylum to where they try to give her electric shock therapy, and she escapes and finds her way back in Oz to discover that this evil queen turned everybody into stone, and she does what she can to get to save her friends and the land of Oz once more.
Yeah, I have not even heard of that film, so I may have to Return to Oz. Wow, I gotta put that on my list. That sounds interesting. Film. Sounds interesting. Check that out. Check that out.
Especially since Disney made it. I mean, you will just. It's amazing. But it just, you will be shocked at how dark that film is and just wonder why Disney ever thought that movie would be successful. I'm glad they made it. It really is quite faithful to the original books, but it's not the Judy Garland film at all.
All right, I'll put that on my list.
Yeah. All right, what you got next?
Next, so since we're in 1985, I'm going to pick Runaway Train as one of my films of this year. I believe this is based on Akira Kurosawa's screenplay. John Voight is in this movie, Eric Roberts, and this is also the first film that you'll see Danny Trejo in. He plays a boxer, and towards the beginning of the film, this is the first film you see Danny Trejo, and he's in.
Nice. I've not seen that one, but Trejo doesn't get the credit for being a great actor.
You are so right. So let me kind of lay down the film real quick. So John Voight is a prisoner. He basically fights the right to get fair treatment, and him and Eric Roberts escape, and they hop on this train that's a runaway. And literally, it's going through the upper north parts of Alaska. Rebecca De Mornay's in this movie. Trying to think of any other actors. I can't think of the top of my head of it, but it's a really interesting film to watch. It's kind of like I said, it moves. It's one of those films that's really kind of crazy. But John Voight, incredible performance. Him and Eric Roberts, really incredible performances of those two guys, and it's a hidden gem. When you get good actors like that work together, it's a kind of nice to watch. It's fun, actually.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I'll definitely check that one out. Especially since John Voight. I mean, sometimes some actors don't do themselves any favors. I'm not a big fan of actors in general talking about political stuff, but when an actor talks political and they're conservative, their careers don't go anywhere. And it's a shame with John Voight.
Yeah, it is, but that's listen, you're in a perception business, but I try. It's hard, and especially for what's happening now in Hollywood with with Harvey Weinstein, and then with James Toback, the reality of who you are. Can you honestly accept someone's creative work as an actor, filmmaker, when they've done heinous thing? It's like, do you like a Woody Allen movie? But if you like Woody Allen movie, do you to deal with the fact of what he's done, or Polanski, or even James Toback? Because I have one of James Toback's films on my list here, but you have to. That's that kind of slippery slope we have to deal with. But just for our conversation in this, we're talking about just in pure enjoyment. But that does have a factor sometimes in that. So you sometimes think if having that impact takes away from his acting, but on the contrary, I mean, Voight's done some incredible stuff, and this is one of them.
Yep. All right, my next one, film from 1986. At the time, I think they did kind of hail it as one of his comeback films because he did have a drug problem for a while. Director Martin Scorsese, The Color of Money, which is a sequel to The Hustler.
That's my favorite Scorsese movie of all time.
One of my favorite Tom Cruise performances, and there's a bit of acting at the end which I absolutely love. It's after the pool tournament where Paul Newman's character finds out that the Tom Cruise character Vincent purposely lost in order to gain money from side bets that he made, and it's the two of them alone in a room. They're gonna battle it out, playing pool at the table, and Tom Cruise is just talking a lot of shit, and then out of nowhere Paul Newman just looks at Tom Cruise and then just points at him. Doesn't say a word. He doesn't have to. He said everything he needed to at that point. And what I would absolutely love, The Color of Money, again, was a sequel to The Hustler. I want to see what happened to Tom Cruise's character. I think it would be perfect if they made a sequel today and brought us the further adventures of the Tom Cruise character Vincent. What happened to him? Mary Stuart Masterson, I believe, played his girlfriend. Did that relationship last? Did they have a kid? What happened to that character? I want to know.
Wow, it's funny you said that. That's the first time I ever thought about that. I never, as much, I love, like I said, I love this film. This is like my favorite Scorsese movie. People laugh at me and think Goodfellas, love Goodfellas, but this film, enjoy. And I think you're right. I'm more love it for the performances of, you're right about Cruise, Paul Newman, but Forrest Whitaker, it flips it in there. It's great film.
Yeah,
great film. But you're right. That is curious. Will it be the same thing in terms of did Vincent go through the same thing? I mean, you never know. And it could have been impossible. Maybe the idea was there because Richard Price wrote the screenplay for this. So maybe the idea was on the table and maybe the money wasn't there. But you never know.
Yeah. All right. What do you got next?
Next since we're moving ahead in years, for 1986, I'm going to pick Manhunter. This is the another Michael Mann film, but this one is based off the Thomas Harris books, which is the Hannibal Lecter series.
Yep.
So this version was not the best version. It was cut down. Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. William Peterson plays Will Graham, and Dennis Farina plays Lieutenant. Tommy Noonan plays Francis Alderhide. So I fell in love with the movie, and I actually read the book. I hate to admit it, but Brett Ratner's Red Dragon really follows the book more closely. So it kind of makes me wonder, when Mann did this version of it, were there cuts? I mean, who knows? But this is it's a good film to catch. Little towards the end of the movie, a great little Iron Butterfly music song in there, but really good performances. Oh yeah, Joan Allen in this as well.
Yeah.
So this is a good film.
Yeah, that was definitely on my list, one of my favorites. As far as the Brett Ratner film goes, I don't like him as a director at all. I mean, I think of the scene where, well, first of all, let's talk casting. Ralph Fiennes as Francis Dollarhide. Francis in the book, Francis in Manhunter, was an ugly guy. The reason he got close to the Joan Allen character was because she was blind, and took him, really got close to him as a person. And yet Ralph Fiennes, even when they do the little cosmetic hair lip that they did on him, Ralph Fiennes is still Ralph Fiennes, a nice-looking guy. And I just think that Brett Ratner did these little mistakes along the way that just killed it for me. And what killed it for me especially was a scene where Philip Seymour Hoffman in Red Dragon was super glued to that wheelchair, and Francis Dollarhide sets him on fire. In the book, that's one of the 10 scary parts of the movie, of the book, of the story. When I saw it in the movie theaters, the audience laughed.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than Manhunter. It's much realistic than Manhunter.
Yeah, but I think what Manhunter did well was their treatment of the Hannibal Lecter character, because Red Dragon came out first, and Thomas Harris has gone on record as stating that Hannibal Lecter was not supposed to be Hannibal Lecter. He was just a side character that he ultimately fell in love with, and that's how the Silence of the Lambs came about. So the fact that we don't have a whole story of Hannibal Lecter kind of shoehorned in that wasn't really there in the book does a lot for me for that movie, because even though I love the Hannibal Lecter character, for Red Dragon, he really wasn't that big of a part. Yeah. I mean, I think it's Gracie Hopkins in it, but yeah, Brian Cox was not a bad Lecter, not bad at all. And a little bit of trivia there. Brian Cox and Anthony Hopkins had the same agent, and at the time that Brian Cox got the role in Manhunter, Anthony Hopkins was on stage doing King Lear. Fast forward to The Silence of the Lambs, and they essentially switched. Anthony Hopkins became Hannibal Lecter, and then Brian Cox was on stage doing King Lear. So that's the research I did. I found that out.
Yeah, great stuff.
All right. My next one, another John Carpenter film starring Kurt Russell, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep, on my list. No, there's not even a comment, not even an argument here. How can you not love good old Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express?
Yep. Yeah, again, it's if there is one John Carpenter movie that I would like to see remade with his cooperation, with his involvement, that is one I think that I would like to see remade, because I think the special effects do age the movie a lot more than it should.
I thought there was word The Rock was going to do that.
I've heard rumors about that, but nothing set in stone. And again, with John Carpenter, I don't think this was an original piece of his, so I don't know how involved he's ultimately going to be, apart from maybe a token executive producer role. But if Carpenter is involved from start to finish, we could see something truly special with modern special effects added to it.
Yeah, definitely. With the storms, and Lopan. Mm-hmm.
All right, what you got next?
Next for me, probably another good film. Well, I think all the films talking about are good. I'm going to bring up Oliver Stone's Platoon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this I remember seeing this on Showtime. Really dark. My dad wanted me to watch it, and really incredible score. But based on Oliver Stone's true story in being in a platoon in Vietnam. And just really, like, it's one of a few war movies I saw that just kind of woke me up, and just fascinating. Just this tale. You have this classic tale of good versus evil, of the two sergeants fighting for Taylor's soul. And it's done in a way where you have the two obvious sides. You're either with Barnes or you're with Elias. So you got Tom Berenger and William Dafoe, and Kevin Dillon is in this movie. Keith David is in this as well. Charlie Sheen, Tony Todd. I mean, incredible film. It's great. One of my favorite actors is a guy named Dale Dreyer. He's a military consultant. So he was the guy that actually trained those actors how to act, because Dale actually was in that war. So, but Dale's also knows as a consultant. He also helped out Spielberg in Saving Private Ryan. So every time I see him in a movie, it's great. It's a great performance too. Great film. Platoon is a classic war film, and definitely a classic pinnacle Oliver Stone movie.
What disappoints me, though, is you see the performance of Charlie Sheen, you watch Charlie Sheen's performance in Wall Street, and you just wonder, where the hell did that actor go?
Personality, man. It's that demon. You live in a society of excess, and I totally agree with you. I think there's, besides those movies, what's the other Charlie Sheen movie? The Getaway, the one where he's Navy SEAL one he did. I mean, Charlie had. I mean, that film is cheesy, but it's not a bad film. But I mean, we'll never see Charlie Sheen get to a level like this. Like for me, like Wall Street. I mean, that's on my list as well too. But
yeah, it's just disappointing to watch, because he had so much potential to be one of Hollywood's next big actors, and then just thanks to drugs, thanks to whatever, just totally flushed it down the toilet. I mean, that's with people like that, and when Robert Downey Jr. was going through his troubles with Lindsay Lohan, you see talented people throwing away their talent and just to get some drugs, to do whatever. That makes me upset more than anything. Now, it's great to see somebody like Robert Downey Jr. make the comeback that he did. Because he's Robert Downey Jr., one of the best actors around today. But I see Platoon, I see Wall Street, I just get disappointed more than anything.
Yeah. All right, man, what's next up?
All right, I'm going to 1987, a movie called Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yep, that's on my list too.
Yeah, just the opening scene where you have Eddie as a kid, played by, I forgot the guy's name, but he played Bud on The Cosby Show, going off with the doo-doo joke, and Samuel L. Jackson, in one of the first films I ever saw him in, laughing his ass off. The best part for me was when Eddie was talking about, as he called it, finding a bush bitch named Umfufu and marrying her so he wouldn't have to deal with some of the women that he dealt with in Hollywood. And then, Eddie, why don't you love me no more, Eddie?
Yeah. It still stands.
It does. I mean, in 2010, when Conan O'Brien went on tour after he left The Tonight Show, I actually saw it in Sacramento, and Conan wore his version of the purple leather suit that Eddie wore. But I really wish Eddie Murphy would make at least one more concert film, because he's a genius. To me, he's up there with Richard Pryor, with Sam Kinison, with Bill Cosby as one of the greatest comedians of all time, and he left stand-up comedy way too soon.
Yeah, yes he did. But I guess And who knows? I mean, it's a feeling. I'm hopefully going to catch Chris Rock here in Brooklyn in December, but he's taping it for his Netflix special. I mean, that's work, man. You have to, if you're going to tell jokes, you got to be out there telling jokes. And if it's been a moment since Eddie's been out there telling jokes, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable telling jokes because Eddie Murphy. It's been a minute since we hear Eddie's been booed, and Eddie may not like that.
Yeah, and with stand-up comedy, like with any stand-up special, the stand-up comics have to do months of touring to get the jokes just right before they get to that special. And as you mentioned, with the fact that he has not been doing jokes for 30 years now, in terms of stand-up comedy, it will take a while for him to get back his rhythm. And also, it's one of those deals that, do we want to see it? Maybe it's better that he went out on top as far as a stand-up instead of coming back for a lukewarm special. But I don't know. I would love to see him do another stand-up special, stand-up movie. But if he doesn't make one, what a way to go out,
True that.
All right, what you got next?
Next, for a special doing in 1987, I'm going to go with. Here it is. It's got my list from me. I'm going to go with Cry Freedom. Now, Cry Freedom is based on a true story about Donald Woods. For me, as we get deeper into the years, man, I'm starting to love these really real, based on true story films. So that's kind of where I was going with my list. But Cry Freedom is based on a true story of Donald Woods' relationship with a guy named Stephen Biko. In the movie, it's played by Kevin Kline, and Denzel Washington plays Stephen Biko. I think this was Washington's first nomination as Best Supporting Actor for his role. And it tells the story about how Woods meets Biko and how at that time he was writing a book about that, which would have got him killed, and how he leaves the country. So a really interesting movie. Some folks didn't like it because it, at the time, with black consciousness happening here in the United States, that it really didn't take place, from Stephen Biko's point of view. And when I saw the film at that time, when I was in high school, I was learning more about South African politics with apartheid. And as I got older, I actually read the book that Donald Woods written, that film was based on, that got him kicked out of South Africa. So when I read the book and saw the movie again, the movie does do Biko justice, but the film is more, even though it's more from Donald's point of view, it explains the seriousness of living in that country at that time and what they were going through. And it's incredible performances by Kline and Washington. So, my motto is always been, if the actors work well together, it's worth catching. It's Richard Attenborough directed it. It's a really cool film. Most of it was shot in Zimbabwe because you couldn't shoot in South Africa, of course. But definitely worth checking out. Sometimes it airs on HBO signature, but you can probably definitely find it online if you need to. It's definitely one of my films I would recommend people check out. Yeah,
that's another film I saw in school. I went to a private school for elementary school, and that was one film that they saw. And one scene that really stuck with me was Kevin Kline's character received a package in the mail, and it was T-shirts. And he gave the T-shirts to his kids, and then they put them on. But then his kids started screaming because apparently the person who sent them put like this chemical, this poison on the T-shirts that forced him to send his kids to the hospital. So that really stuck with me. And I think there is something to say too about a movie that has a character, in this case a real life character, that really opens his eyes, that broadens his world to seeing something from another point of view. Because he could have easily just ignored Stephen Biko, lived his life and did whatever, but he opened his eyes to what the black community in South Africa was going through, and look what happened to him after that. So I think there is definitely something to say about those type of films.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good one, and this it's starting to happen also too. That we're during this year we're seeing a lot more film by directors of color coming out as well. I have a couple on my list too that hopefully we'll get to.
Yep. All right. So my next one, a classic from Richard Donner from 1987, Lethal Weapon.
Yep, on my list too. Did you see that in theaters, Tim?
I did not. These, when it comes to the 80s, I really did not go to the movie theater much in the 80s. I mean, that's what happens when you grow up poor in Michigan, I guess. But all of these movies I saw on TV. Now, some of them with re-releases or special editions I caught in the theaters later. But, Lethal Weapon, just a family member had it on VHS, popped it in, watched it, loved it.
Yeah, love the little Christmas, motif of it. Yeah, and that's it makes it kind of it's fun. It's a real fun movie. It moves nice. You get Mel Gibson before the Mel Gibson we know now, and Danny Glover. That odd, kind of odd couple type. Dealing with some drug dealers, but it's a good action movie.
It definitely is, and Shane Black, who wrote that, what a talent there. I mean, he ended up doing writing and directing the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I think he's on board for another Predator movie, if I'm not mistaken. But Lethal Weapon, in a lot of ways, did kind of help open the door to action movies as we see them today. It was less gritty. It was more of the personalities. It was more character driven. Yeah,
definitely was. It also, what's good about the film, as Murtaugh and Riggs get to know each other, they start building that bond. It's like, all right, this week we got something going. We got something going here, and it's you believe it because you're rooting for Riggs and Murtaugh towards the end of the movie.
Yep, and that's one, that's one show I'm glad that the one movie that I'm glad they turned into a TV show. The Lethal Weapon, the new Lethal Weapon show on Fox, because I do think that there is a lot more that could have been explored with Gibson and Glover. That just because it was initially a movie that they didn't explore. So I'm glad they're kind of going back to those characters. And it's unfortunate that Mel Gibson made the choices in his life that he did too, because again, one hell of an actor, but his personal demons, his personal bigotry, his personal whatever, just. We'll probably never see him in a movie, in a successful movie again. He was in Machete Kills, but just a waste.
Yeah, but I think he has better success behind the camera. Like that Heartbreak Ridge that came out did very well. So
I thought Clint Eastwood did that.
No, Heartbreak. No, the one that's Heartbreak. No, Heartbreak Ridge is Clint Eastwood. I'm sorry. It came out last year with Andrew Garfield. Heartbreak Point. I forgot. The story of the pacifist medic.
Let me hop on.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one that Gibson directed that did very well.
Let me check here. Going to IMDb. That is Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. Okay, my apologies. Hacksaw Ridge.
And with that, another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy is in the books. Thank you all for listening. Next week, we'll continue on with the discussion with Noel about our favorite movies from the 80s. But keep in mind this as well. Coming up within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the first ever Friends Talking Nerdy holiday special. Had a chance to sit down with Noel and Maura and discuss some of our favorite holiday entertainment movies. And we're definitely excited to hear what y'all think about it. We had some fun recording that podcast. The first one in a while that I had multiple people on. Anyway, as always, we would like to thank Christopher Lazarek for his contribution for the amazing theme song he created for the show. Head to his website, ChristopherLazarek.com, for information on how to purchase his EP, Here's to You, which is available on all digital platforms. We even had a chance to chat a little bit about that EP, and he said that he ends up making a lot more money by people who buy it compared to people who stream it. It is available on streaming services like Apple Music, Google Play Music, stuff like that, but definitely help the guy out. Doesn't cost that much. Go to your favorite online digital music store and purchase his EP. And we'd also like to thank Rogues Portal for allowing me the chance to contribute. I should have announced it last week, and I was a fool for not saying it, but it's not necessarily going to be an every week deal, but they're allowing me to contribute some work. My first article for them was about my 5 favorite episodes from this season of The Orville, one of the best new shows on television, if I do say so myself. Quick little synopsis here for you. It's from Seth MacFarlane. It's basically his version of Star Trek. But the beauty of the show comes with how he is able to take some of the tropes that we're familiar with from Star Trek, whether it's characters or situations or plot lines, and kind of give a little twist to them. He also throws a little more of the humanity that didn't necessarily show up when it came to relationships among the characters. I would say like Lieutenant Lamar and Lieutenant Malloy. I love their relationship because they're friends, but then they also have little practical jokes that they have throughout the show too. Like when Malloy was teaching from Kaylon, the Kaylon representative, an artificial life form by the name of Isaac, who's an officer on the ship, about practical jokes. That was definitely an interesting episode. It kind of plays off of the humanity building that Star Trek The Next Generation tried to do with Data, but it also allows for the fact that Isaac has no intention of wanting to be human like Data did, and just completely misunderstanding something like a practical joke, but still a good show. I have not seen Star Trek Discovery as of yet, so I will not be one of those people that will comment, about how bad it is. If I haven't seen it, how can I comment on it? And when I do see it, I'll definitely give my comments on whether I liked it or not at that point. But I will say The Orville, for a Star Trek type of show, is nailing the important points. At the end of the day, for that type of science fiction, I want a little positivity. Leave the dystopian stuff for the news or for 70s sci-fi films like Logan's Run or whatever. There's a place for that. But for me, if we're talking about the future, I want to see a future to where things actually turn out good, and I think The Orville's doing a good job for that. It's not a perfect show. It does rely too much on 20th century jokes and references for my taste, but still definitely something I would strongly recommend. So with that, we will see you next week, where we're going to continue the talk about 80s movies, and then the week after that, we're going to be starting the Friends Talking Nerdy Holiday Special. So once again, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more.
Good game.
What you got in there?
In here? Doom.
Come on, boy. Let's play.
Yeah, let's play. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Lately he's been overheard in Mayfair. You better stay away from him. He'll rip your lungs out, Jim. But I'd like to meet his tailor. Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London. Solon Chaney walking with the Queen, doing the Werewolves of London. Solon Chaney Jr. walking with the Queen. Doing the werewolves of London. I saw a werewolf drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's.
His hair was perfect.
Not bad, my man, not bad. When you leaving town? Now, right?
You don't want to play me again? What's that? Don't kill me, right? Wait.